Okay, so let's now look at criteria 8, which is the last criteria out of the 3 used to mark your 2 final visual communication presentations. Gee, that's a mouthful. Um, so let's have a look at what's being assessed for criteria 8. Well, it's looking at your overall technical competence. So really that means the skill with which you've used to execute the images and text present on your finals. So let's go through and look at the rubric and break it down some more. So again, it's the production of your 2 final visual communication presentations that demonstrate technical competence. It's marked out of 10 and you can get a mark between 1 and 10. So we're going to look at the 3 descriptors here in the very high range in a bit more detail. So it's highly competent and refined level of technical expertise, selection and application of materials, methods and media in the production of 2 equally resolved final presentations. So let's just say it's how well you've used the 3 M's. Not necessarily in the imaginative sense, but more how well you've actually, used them, the skill with which you've used them. The next descriptor is really about your technical detail and how precisely it communicates ideas and or intentions and is supported by the effective text and highly suitable visual imagery. And finally, it's the effective strategies that you've used to accurately represent form, function and conventions in the production of the final presentations. So I've got a bit of a script here to read through some of these just to go into it a bit more detail. So let's look at the first one, and really it's about how competent and refined and the technical competence applied to the use of materials, media and methods. For example, this could be the quality of the paper of your final presentations and what they're printed on. The quality of your colour renderings, so how well you've used the method of rendering, how smoothly and confidently it's been applied. It will also relate to the level to which your final presentations have been resolved. So a rushed presentation where there's little time spent on refinement will be pretty obvious. The second description here relates to the technical detail that you've employed to create the text and imagery. So if your images are produced on computer, it should be obvious that you've set up your document to the correct resolution. Images sourced from the net shouldn't be enlarged because they'll come up a bit pixelated if you do scale them up. And the third description, I'm mucking this up, aren't I? The third description really relates to the accurate representation of form, function and conventions. So this can really be seen if there's technical drawings that are produced as your final presentation. So therefore, if a plan and elevation have been presented, then really the scale, the correct architectural conventions, such as how doors are shown or how stairs have been drawn, should really be applied. So it should be as accurate and professional looking as possible. If the final presentation is a drawing of a product, then really every effort should be made to convey the form of the product. And you convey form of a product through your accurate tonal rendering, which will obviously indicate the light and shade, which helps to communicate, whether the form is round, whether it's, rectangular, whether there's a pattern or a texture on the surface of it. So that's really the 3 areas that we're looking for with criteria 8. And once more, we'll pull up Mimi's final presentation here, just one of her final presentations, the yoga class poster. So let's look at the evidence of technical competence, which Mimi scored highly on. Look, she scored highly on all 3 criteria for the final presentation. So she used the material which is heavy stock paper. So this is a good quality paper, and it was used along with a professional print. So this ensured that the ink was dense and rich on the paper and the colours came up nice and vibrant. Let's look at I just mentioned that, the professional print of the poster. Let's look at the photographic images. They are nice and sharp. The tones are rich and accurate. which is evidence of thorough post-production where images are imported and touched up in Photoshop. The images are highly resolved, indicating that the images were correctly set up for print, so there's no evidence of pixelation on these images. The photographs were cut out neatly as well, so you can see with that collage technique she's actually cut really carefully and closely to the edge of the form. Now the images, as I just mentioned, have been highly resolved. Let's look now at the typography, which is also well resolved, and that really means in how it's been put together. So the leading, which is the space between the lines, and the kerning have been thoughtfully applied so that it's legible. Care has been taken to apply the correct scale to create the sense of hierarchy. So that's what we mean when we say that something is well resolved and professional looking. So that was just a quick little presentation. Criteria 8 really is just about your technical competence and how skillfully you put things together. So look at your resolution, look at the way you've rendered, look at the way you've applied colour pencil, look at the way that you've ruled up your lines for a technical drawing. Make sure there's no bleed or no smudges. Make sure that everything looks as neat and as professional as possible.